Hello everyone, this video covers the latest news for Revit 2022. In this video, I'm going through all the benefits and features that will bring the most value to you. I've filtered them and trying to do it in the shortest amount of time possible. There will be realistic views, loading the families, tapered walls, slanted walls, Rhyno link, showing the grids, PDF exporter, tags, and we will dive deeper in schedules, callouts, and some core layers of the wall components. So there will be a lot of things. Stay tuned and keep watching until the end. The first thing I will be talking about is the realistic views. So now in the realistic views, we can see a little update. So if I zoom in that person and if I click on the visual settings, I can click graphic display options. From here, I can click on the realistic. And there I can say, I want the override as a billboard, which people will be looking like more like a billboard, or I can do it as a render appearance. And if you have too many stuff, like you have trees, you have a lot of cars and a lot of like mesh components inserted, it might significantly, that it can lower the Revit performance. So in that case, what you can do is you can simply go on to the graphics display options, and from here realistic, and you can say do not display. This way it will increase the performance of Revit while giving you the availability to visualize Revit in 3D in a realistic manner. Second thing, we will talk about loading families. If you go to Insert tab and from here click on the Load Autodesk Family, from here now you will see a different dialog box in comparison to the traditional MES. It is similar to the one that we have in the Enscape, but here directly Revit components can be loaded, and you can choose whether your language is English or another language, or you want region Imperial or any other tank. You can just choose directly from here to filter them out. And you can even toggle the different type of views you want. You can go to the particular category. You can just simply type here doors in order to filter all the doors in your search. And the cabinet doors and so forth, this will be searched in this way. So if you want only doors, from here you can dive deeper into commercial doors, and then it will just cover commercial doors only for you. You just select and load it, and it will load automatically to your project. This will make the templates much lighter, and you just load the components that you need on the go. The next thing is actually very interesting because we will talk about tapered walls. If I zoom in here and close this window, so now I can select my wall and now I can do it tapered, meaning I have the variable option for the floors. I could do different thickness on the variable surface, but now I can do it on the walls as well. I can just go edit type. From there, I can go edit, and from here I do variable. Once I do this option, and the wall is variable, the particular layer, because that layer will be variable. So it's very similar to the floors. If I have multi-layers, the one that you do variable will change the thickness. The rest will remain the same thickness. So you can just go to the cross-section portion here on the properties palette and change the vertical to the tapered. This way you will see two angles here, where you will see one of the exterior angle and interior angle. And override the type properties, okay, and then I will just go an exterior slant of, let's say, 8 degrees. And you can actually see that the connected wall is also changing, so it's not intersecting it. That is a really good behavior because now we are having a proper overlap between them rather than this intersects this wall and we don't have a good connection. This was really important feature for us. So if I do 8 degrees on the other side as well, and I can actually do it less, let's say 3 degrees on one side. And if I want to add a window, I can also add a window, and then I can adjust that window whether I want it on the exterior face or interior face because of the different percentages and the angles that we have. So this can be decided whether orientation is along the exterior. So this is like vertical right now, but I can do it along the exterior face, which is 3 degrees, and then interior face, which is 8 degrees. So this is a really, really good feature as well. I will not dive deeper into the open letter. Really, Autodesk answered all the questions of the complaints of the architects and the industry, but they're certainly trying to do something now in comparison to before. I would like to also talk about the slanted walls because the slanted walls are really important to understand that there's a new feature because when we have tapered walls, you cannot edit profile. And for the slanted wall, it was the same. But lately, they added this feature where you can now edit profile for the slanted walls. So if the slanted wall is, let's say overall the wall is 8 degrees, the connection works perfectly, and then I can now start editing the profile and just push this one further in or out depending on my needs. I will remove the constraint and I will trim those 2 bits. It will still function the connection, so the connection will not be removed. That's a really, really good feature as well. Now we will move into interesting one, because we were missing this for quite a long time, and it is a link between Rhyno and Revit. And how does it work? So you just go to Insert, Import CAD. Before we had to do SAT format, so we need to export the Rhyno file in the SAT format and import it into Revit. But now we can just go Rhyno 3DM, and then we can just choose one of these files. So if I choose a more complicated one and less complicated one, let me go with the less, so the loading time takes less. Obviously, I have a 3D section box here, which I need to remove in order to see the import. There's another question here. I can make a video specifically for that, have set the origin so you can get in the right place. But there was no origin set up for these files, so it just randomly appears somewhere on the screen. But yeah, the components come pretty okay. They're fine, and if you select, it's obviously like a block, like you have a 3D block, which you don't have much settings here, options. So preferably if you have components, they should be imported in certain categories, because you cannot hide or select stuff from here. So you just have to export, for example, the walls, floors, roofs, columns, beams, everything in certain categories, and then import Revit separately, where you can then start adding comments and information about them, so it's more relevant for you in the project. Otherwise, you can import it as like a block and you can work around it. So I will delete this one and I will just move with the next thing, which is show grids in 3D. That's a really interesting one, because now we have show grids in 2D, but now we are going to look at the show grids in 3D. If we look at the show grids here and click on the edit, we can see that we can say, okay, we want level 1, just level 1 grids, and they will appear here. The good thing that you can also select those grids. So they're selectable, they're movable, they're adjustable. It is really good to have this kind of functionality. So they're not only visible just for visual purposes, but you can also snap to them and play with them according to your needs. Next portion, we'll be diving deeper into core layers of the wall. So if I just go level 1 and obviously zoom to fit, here I can see that there are multiple layers of the wall. And if I do thin lines, so you can see them, visualize them better. Now what you can do is you can only do show core layers on the walls. To do that, you need to go View, Visibility and Graphics panel. From here, you need to scroll down and drop down the wall area here, and then non-core layers will disappear. So which means that only core layers will remain. Core layers would mean that if you edit type and go edit, only components in between the core outer boundary and core inner boundary, so all these portions will display. This will allow you to present things a little bit more smoothly and have a little bit more control on the presentation. Now when we talk about the presentation, the tags was one of the issues, because when we have tags, we had a problem with the angle and rotation. So now we can actually control the angle of the rotation, and if we rotate it manually, we can still see that it was rotated directly based on the angle. This is a very good point, because each time we had to draw a line and see if it's matching perfectly, just in case it was moved, and that was a hassle for us. Since we are on the plan view, I would like to also discuss very quickly about the exporting options of PDF. So if you just click on the export and create PDF slides, now we can actually export directly PDFs, similar to the sheet, similar to the printing option. Similar option is here, but now we can actually directly export as a PDF. This is a great opportunity for us to not to use any Dynamo or any plugins. Now we can directly do it inside Revit. It functions a similar purpose, similar way. So you still have to give your location, you still have to give it a name, you need to still choose the setup if you have anything saved, and then you want to do particularly selected sheets or sets, or you want the current window, so you can do and adjust as you need. But it functions very similar to the one that we have in the print. So as soon as you click export, it starts exporting to the display. So if I say current window, zoom 100% and export, So we can see that it was exported as needed. Once we export it, we can just double click on the desktop and then we can see how it exported to our desktop. And we can see that it was used the same functionality and it's a PDF. That is a really, really good feature and it is fast as well. So we really needed that. One of the interesting things I've found is when you create a section or even the elevation, for example, when you create callouts, when you deleted particular section or elevation, it was disappearing. But now I will just give you an example. So if I go in this section and create a callout, try to zoom in over there and create a callout. When I deleted before this particular section, the callout was also being deleted. So if I scroll down, this is the callout of section 1, callout 1. So I will just go back to the plan view. And if I delete this section here now, it will allow me to give an option to make the callout view independent or delete them as well. So I can do them independent, meaning section 1 will be deleted, but callout will remain here visible in our project browser. Let's talk about a little schedules because there were some updates in the schedules as well, and I love some of them. So if I just go and create a new quantity schedule here and I will just go walls, let's just drop down the walls here. And from the walls, what we can do is can just do type, family and type, bottom constraint, base constraint, area. I think this will be enough for us to see a schedule. So now there are two things. One is the filters. Now we can actually filter by family and type. We really needed this, especially for fabrication or detailed components where we wanted to select a particular family and type and select the category. We weren't able to do it, but now we can do that, and that brings huge benefit to us because now we can simply filter them as needed. So I will just undo it, so I will have the entire section here, but I can now split the face of the schedule as well, and I can actually say split it and place it in 2 sheets as I want. So now it will go over here on one sheet and the remaining of that will go on the other sheet. So this is an interesting feature of Revit as well, because this way I can really control, if I don't have space, I can distribute this into 2 sheets, because sometimes we have intro pages, that's 2 pages, and we don't have enough space for the amount of views that we use or sheets we use. We can distribute into two starting page. If that's not a good practice, you can do it always with multiple for fabrication. Each sheet, there are like lots of schedules, so it can be distributed logically around it as you create a logic, but it adds a functionality that you can use some now logic and some flexibility now in comparison to the before. If you would like to see how to download Revit 2022, click on the video on the right hand side. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to watch all the BIM talks and BIM related content we have apart from Revit, and we really want to invite you to participate in all our BIM news, BIM talk and BIM events that we have. Take care and see you next time.